Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Jam Creates. This is Indie Comics Underground Live. That's what I'm calling the show now. I decided. um, my other show on Tuesdays, we do a show every Tuesday at 7. That one's definitely got a name. It's the best ever every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be here for that. So there's a little plug for that. But thank you guys for being here. We are myself. I'm Jam Creates. This is my channel. You guys should, if you're here, you probably know who I am. Maybe not. And then next to me, I've got, oh, I did it again. I pointed the wrong way. Next to me. Yeah, exactly.
Pointing every which way.
I've got RC. RC, you want to just introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Yeah, I cover pop culture, comics, art, pretty much all that sort of stuff on YouTube. I'm currently working on getting some comic reviews out, and you can find me on YouTube at RC Gates right here, and on Twitter and Instagram at RCGates1994, and TikTok at RC_Gates1994.
There you go. And we are joined tonight by our very special guest, Mr. Don Chin, joining us all the way out from the left coast.
Yeah, good to be here. How you guys been?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I have to say, out of all the streams that I've been on, your sound quality from both your mics is outstanding. It's
good.
Very crisp.
Awesome.
I can hear you just great. I've got my ear pods in. Hopefully I sound good too. I have a big Yeti mic, but I keep it on a chair behind my computer. So, I don't have it here like this, like you guys do, but I'm sure it probably sounds better if it was right up to my mouth.
Yeah, no, you sound fine.
Okay.
Yep, I can hear you just fine too.
These, awesome. You know what? They're really good mics, and for the price, you really can't beat it.
That's true. Yeah, actually, I got this for my wife because she's a musician, and
okay.
she wanted to kind of play with GarageBand and do some vocals and stuff. So it's primarily for her. But then when I got back into crowdfunding comics, I found out that everybody streams live, and my computer mic is fine, but I think everybody kind of uses a nice plug-in mic if you're serious,
right?
So
it's, you know what, it definitely helps just to make sure you're gonna have clean audio. For me, what I ended up doing was I actually am sitting at my art desk, and I just put my laptop here when I'm gonna stream, and
oh, nice.
And I bought an arm that attaches to the desk, so it's a swivel arm, so
yeah,
I can just move it around as
maybe
I need
to. I might need to have to get one. That looks cool, professional. That you guys are, I like that.
It's all fake.
It's all smoke and mirrors. And
that's right.
Looks like you got some cool paper bags behind you. Are those lunch bags or art?
Yeah, that's my thing. I do that on TikTok, actually. It started out, I used to do it for my daughter when she was young. When she was little, in school, they told them every day they had to bring a snack to school, like starting in kindergarten.
Oh, okay.
And it had to be in a brown paper bag. And so I was like, well, if she's got to bring a brown paper bag to school every day, I might as well draw something fun on it for her. So yeah. I would just draw, like, random stuff, and I would draw characters that she likes, and I would draw. I would ask her for if she had any requests, and she would just, she would tell me, and I would draw it, and I would usually just bust it out in the morning with I would just grab a Sharpie and just bust it out on the bag and stick her goldfish and whatever snack she was bringing, and then put it in her bag. And not that long ago, my wife kept bugging me to get on TikTok, and I was like, I don't want to go on TikTok. Like, what am I going to do? Dance? Nobody wants to see me dance.
Yeah, we've proven that wrong.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, we've proven that wrong, because apparently people do want to see me dance, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, so I was like, she's like, no, you should do your bags. We call them snack bags because that's what they were. But lunch bags, paper bags, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And so I finally decided, she wore me down, and I said, all right, the heck with it. I'll give it a shot. And so I hopped on TikTok, and this is what I do these, and I get a million requests from people for characters and stuff. So
wow.
I do a bunch of requests, and I'm closing in on 3,000 followers on there right now. And I've been on there. I've only been on there. Yeah. I've only been on there for like a month.
Jam, can you sell the bags that you do? Like, If someone like requested one,
I don't know.
Could they buy it?
I'm kind of working on that right now. I was doing some research today to try to figure out how to make that happen, because I feel like, otherwise, I mean, I've got a giant stack of them right next to me here.
Right.
Because I post 3 of them a day. So, I've got a ton of them here.
Dude, you're sitting on a gold mine. You don't even know it.
Well, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. I don't know if I should go through Etsy or if I should use eBay, or if I should, how to do it, what's going to be the best way to do it. So I'm trying to do a little research and get that figured out. And then yeah, cool. I'll definitely offer it. And then
can I see a close up, like the one with the, it looks like a monkey with kind of a dark,
this one?
Yeah, that one's pops out off the stand there. That's cute.
It's Dot Warner from Animaniacs.
Yeah, that's kind of I didn't watch Animaniacs, but I can definitely see that's one of those characters. You have a cool style. I didn't know you were an artist.
Yeah, I actually know. I'm just laughing because we brought you here to interview you, and I'm answering the question. That's okay though. I don't mind. It's cool. We're just here hanging out. I used to draw all the time when I was a kid. And my dream, people used to ask me when I was a little kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I always said, I either want to be a cartoonist or a marine biologist. And I ended up not becoming either for a very long time. Mm-hmm. I used to make my own comics, though, as a kid all the time. I would just draw my own comics. And 90% of them are just rip-offs of things that I liked,
Yeah.
But just recently, like within the last few years, I decided to just seriously get back into drawing again. And so I did, and I started drawing, and, I started practicing again, and and what started me, honestly, was doing the snack bags for my daughter.
How cool.
It reignited my love of drawing. I had basically stopped drawing for like 20 years.
Yeah. And that's awesome, man. I admire that. I always wanted to be the cartoonist, but I found that I'm not nearly as good as the guys that work for me. But I do have a simple style, and I've gone on these drawing shows where like Drawn and Quartered. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but I just kind of went there on as a guest one day, and I didn't draw. And what happens is after like an hour and a half, they judge the best drawings, and somebody wins based on the votes. And so for some reason on the first show I ever went on, I was just watching, and the crowd voted me like the best artist for that night. And so I felt like I needed to at least try to go back on that stream and draw. And I was really, really crappy the first couple times, but after a while I started to get like, I think I finished almost one vote out of first place against against Mike Miller, and he's a guy that's drawn for DC and stuff.
Right.
It's, my stuff's not like Jim O'Reilly's in the chat. He's helping us with Beardzzerker, and that guy can just like draw rings around me. But I admire anyone that picks up that passion and does what you're doing. I think that's a great little niche that you have.
Yeah, it's like I said, I kind of stumbled into this thing. I mean, eventually I would like to do my own comic at some point. And that's what, so I'm always practicing, and there's times when I can really nail what I'm going for. And there's other times where I'm struggling and I'm just, erase and start again.
Does your daughter ever barter her bags for like extra snacks from other kids?
No, you know what's funny? What's really funny though is there was a kid in her class. It's really funny. I remember, I will never forget. His name is Josh, and he did not believe her that her father drew her bag. What was on the bag? Like he said to her, he's like, "Your father didn't draw that," and she was like, "Yeah, he did." And he was like, and he just didn't believe it. He was like, "No, he didn't. There's no way he drew." Like, just flat out would not believe it. And I was like, "You tell Josh that if he," I got, because she was so mad. She got all upset, and she was like trying to defend my honor, and It was
that's hilarious.
It was really cute, and I was just like, and it's okay. I told her, I'm like, it's okay, kid. It's all right. Like
you should have your daughter take a picture of Josh on her cell phone, bring it home to you, and the next day do like a grotesque character of Josh. Say here you go. Make him look like one of those. What was those? Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh yeah. You just got to come up with a good pun for the name,
right?
Because they all had like those ridiculous names.
Something I remember, Josh.
I remember as a kid, like I used to collect Garbage Pail Kids when I was a kid, and I was always so upset there was no, like, I couldn't find one with my name. Like there was ones that were close, but not and like I don't know why I wanted one. They were so hideous and disgusting, and like, but I wanted one to have my name. I don't know.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I collected those as well, and the wacky packages. Those stickers that Topps used to come out with back in the 70s and stuff. And then I think Garbage Pail Kids they made a resurgence. I'm not sure when they relaunched them again, but there's an artist in my town named John Pound who used to do a lot of underground comic book work, and I think he actually worked for Mad Magazine for a while too. He's a really, really good illustrator, but he was doing a majority of the Garbage Pail Kids for Topps like over the last 20 years. I don't know if he's still doing it, but I think he was a painter and he would work acrylic. I'm sure those are worth a lot of money, the originals.
I'm sure.
Like a collector's market for that, but yeah. Anyways, lunch bags.
That was that was the crazy thing about Garbage Pail Kids too, is they were so like, they were a joke, they were hideous, they were disgusting. That was the whole point. That's what made them funny and stuff. And yet, the artwork was so good.
They were really good, yeah.
So it brings out the appeal in them.
I bet they would sell as actual dolls.
They probably would have.
They probably would.
Well, I think they had a movie. They got a movie out of it.
Oh, did they? Did they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had a movie. I don't know.
Oh, they did. They definitely did.
Okay.
It was trash.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it did very well, but they did have one.
Wow.
Oh,
I remember there was like another toy called Mad Balls that was kind of ugly too.
I remember those. Yeah. Apparently, like ugly stuff was in.
Especially for boys. I don't think the girls were really into that. So
no,
my wife is bringing me coffee. Thank you, honey.
That's nice.
She's so good to me. Thank you, sweetie. Oh, I'm gonna owe her. What do I owe you? You can pay you later. She says I can pay her later. I made her dinner and she brings me dessert. So that's a pretty good trade. I got some cheesecake and some coffee with cream. So I'm good, man.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I usually, it's funny. I usually make dinner too.
Yeah. I'm a pretty good cook, but she does. She's more of a baker type. She does good baked goods and dessert type things, and I like to cook. I grew up in a restaurant family, so it's kind of in my blood. But anyways, RC, we haven't really involved you yet, my friend. Did you have any comment? Do you draw on anything or?
Well, I've actually been an artist for most of my life. Not professional, but I sort of I started whenever I was first looking at colleges. I wanted to be a video game designer, and then whenever I found out how many people actually get into that industry, I was like, no, I'm going to be a graphic designer. Okay. And throughout all that time, I was just working with like various different art classes, like classic painting and drawing, and occasionally getting into like Photoshop and InDesign. And towards the end of my college career, I wanted to get into making comics, but whenever I took a look at how much time that was going to take, I was like, I'm not going to be able to finish this in a semester. Right. So I sort of put that on hold, and since then I've sort of been like tossing around various different ideas for actual comics, but I've sort of been working on developing my own art style and getting used to a more digital digital style, which
Awesome.
I'm still working on. I do have my own little iPad and Apple Pencil, so I'm working on getting that and making it look more professional. But I don't have anything really out there right now that I would consider professional work in comics.
Gotcha. Did you?
I do want to get there at some point, though.
Do you follow Trent Kanuga, who does?
Oh yeah.
Art for comics and video games, and now he's doing Creed. He was a guy that back when Ethan was, kind of doing Cyberfrog in the 90s, Trent and his friend Matt and Ethan were all part of this small press company called Hall of Heroes. And so Trent got his first book published called Creed with Lightning Comic Books. It was originally with Hall of Heroes, and then Lightning got Creed, and then Cyberfrog got picked up by Harris, and then Matt's Snowman character, which Ethan is doing now, that was actually a book that I published with a company imprint called Entity Comics in the 90s. So I kind of knew those guys back when they were just kind of getting back into the industry. And then I come back in the industry and I look at Trent and I see his name bantered about, and I go to his YouTube channel. I'm going, this guy has like almost 250,000 followers. Yeah. And he's like he's out in the stratosphere now. And, he's still really humble and really nice. But, you look at the stuff he does, I think with Blizzard and World of Warcraft and stuff. And I just go, wow, he's probably doing really well. I asked him how much it would cost me to have him do a variant cover for us. And the figure he gave me was like, my jaw dropped because his rate is
I can imagine.
Yeah, he's really expensive. And not to say that it's not worth it, but his time is money, and he's got people willing to pay him a lot of money for what he does. But more power to him. So I think that's a great role model for someone like you if you're thinking of testing the waters in both video and comic books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was a subscriber for Trent probably before he got back into making Creed, so I'm very familiar with his work. Cool,
man. What video game was like the thing that you played as a kid that made you think, oh, I'd like to get in and
design? No. The whole video game thing died the moment I found out how few people get into there. Now it's just solely comic stuff, solely comic and art stuff.
But was there a game that you played that inspired you? I mean, that you remember as a kid?
Not really that inspired me to get into the industry, at least not that I can remember. But I know that I played a lot of Need for Speed, and I think at that point there was also the Uncharted games, and those ones were ones that stuck out a little bit to me.
So you were like on an Xbox or a PlayStation, or?
It was a mixture of Nintendo GameCube and PlayStation 3.
Okay. I go back and I'm a big game fan, so when you guys talk about video games, I'm excited because I like video games. I go so far back, guys, that I had an original Pong console. Nice. With the little dials, and you plug it into your black and white TV set, and you would like play it with your friend for hours, and then it gravitated, to the Nintendo Atari 2600, and now I have an Xbox, which is fun, but I love video games.
That's how I started. My father had like a Radio Shack Pong game. It had like the regular Pong with just the two paddles, and then it had a hockey version, which basically it was the exact same game. It just added 2 extra paddles onto the screen.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, that was my first video games. I played Pong, and then we had an Intellivision.
Yeah. Remember that?
We had an Intellivision. My friend had a Coleco and an Atari, so I would play those at his house and play the Intellivision at my house. Then eventually we got a Commodore 64. And then after
I remember that. Yeah. The old disc drives.
Yep.
What game did you play? I played a lot of Jumpman, and there was some like D&D type games that they had that were, pretty low res. But I remember anything by Epix was pretty good. EPYX company.
Yes. Test Drive. They had Test Drive that actually had like all the different cars you could drive. It had like a Lotus and a Ferrari and a Lamborghini and stuff.
Oh wow, I missed that game.
And like it was really funny because like you would play it, and every now and then it had on the dashboard in the game, it had a radar detector, and you could get pulled over by the cops.
Oh, fun! That's cool. Did you have a joystick with the Commodore, or did you drive it with the keyboard?
I had a joystick. We used to play a lot. Like my family, like all of us would play winter games, summer games.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Like we used to play those.
Those were fun. I remember that a lot of tapping and it was fun.
My favorite one of all of those was California Games because it had the surfing, and I thought the surfing was the most fun.
Okay. Nice. How cool. I didn't have that one, but I have played surfing games like on handheld platforms, and I really liked it.
The best is I think I told the story once before. We had the Commodore, and my friend got a Nintendo, and I went to his house and I played the Nintendo, and I was just blown away. Like I had never seen graphics like that in my life, and I went home and I tried to tell my parents, like, I need this. And all they kept saying to me was, you got the computer. What do you need that for? You have the computer. What do you need that for? So I had to save up my money from my paper route to buy one for myself.
What a good boy.
Like that was the only way I was getting one.
Good for you. I sold the Grit newspaper, the one that they advertised in the comic books when I was a kid. You'd basically be a paper boy for them. They would send you as many issues as you asked for each, I think every week it would come out. And so out of, I think it was like 25 cents was the price of the Grit. And it was a really fun publication, a lot of good news, positive stuff. And I would go around my neighborhood or to my parents' restaurant and go like table to table selling the Grit newspaper. And they had prizes and incentives, and actually made some money doing that back when I was a kid. So
nice.
Paper boys.
Yeah, that's how I made all my money as a kid. I was delivering papers and then saved up my money. I saved up enough money doing that to buy a Nintendo, which was at the time like $100.
Yeah,
which was for a kid my age, that might as well be $1 million. Like,
yeah. Did it come with like Super Mario? Is that the?
I got the action set, so it had the Mario Duck Hunt combo cartridge.
Oh, okay. So it comes with the little gun.
Yep.
You can. Then they had like Hogan's Alley that you could like buy as a cartridge, and
I loved Wild Gunman.
Yes, that was a good one.
Yeah, Wild Gunman. That was actually in Back to the Future 2.
Yeah. I just watched that the other day. He's in the arcade, and not the arcade, the soda fountain shop, right? And he's I just saw that the other day. It was cool. Anyways, we're talking video games and not comics. That's okay. Hopefully we won't lose your viewers talking about old fogey stuff.
Listen, I say it all the time. Every show at some point or another, my age always comes up. So like it literally every single show my age comes up. So I'm used to it.
Awesome, man. Well, you probably, I'm going to guess you're probably in your 40s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How about you, RC? You're younger. You're probably in your 30s.
I'm actually only 26.
Oh, you're only 26. Okay. Nice. Well, you said 1995 in your
94, actually.
94. Okay. So you're
just 1 year off.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. How did you two meet?
The internet.
The internet?
Pretty much.
And you've been doing this show for how long?
Well, let's see. We've been doing the other show we do. We just did episode 10. We do that every week, so a few months.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like in interview mode. I'm interviewing you guys. I have a show in the morning, like on Wednesdays, and we just did one this morning with we had like the guys that do Black Sun Samurai and the Embrace and Star Circuit on. So on Wednesdays, I just feel like I'm streaming a lot. So I'm not used to being the guest, I think, on Wednesdays. So I'll just zip it and let you guys ask me questions. I like to learn about other people, so that's kind of why I asked.
No, I think that's how, like, listen, we start talking. I think that's enjoyable. Like, we start to talk, we get to know one another. The audience gets to know us. That's how this whole thing works. This whole internet, comic book internet, YouTube thing, whatever you want to call it.
Right. It's fun.
That's kind of how it works. It's just a bunch of people hanging out and having a good time and talking about stuff, and So
I wish I had more cheesecake to share with you, but I'm gonna have to dive into this before it it gets lukewarm, because lukewarm cheesecake isn't very good. So don't mind me as I.
That's quite all right. And don't feel bad, because the one thing, they always like to say that a lot of us are they always like to call us intolerant. Well, I actually am intolerant of lactose.
I should be too. I probably am, but when you got cheesecake, you can't really go to waste. It's the big one from Costco, the one you get for like $16 and it'll feed you for like a month. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, no, I it's funny because I'm Italian and I'm lactose intolerant, so like the cheese thing was really, really hard to
oh man, you poor guy. I was gonna ask you, I see these my wife and I used to watch this reality show, and there was a baker guy on TLC, and he had his family ran a bakery, but we would always see them make cannolis. And my wife and I, we don't have any place here where I live that makes cannolis. And I'm going, I really would love to try a cannoli because those look really, really good.
They are good.
Are they good?
They are good. Yeah.
It's like a pastry with like a sweet filling inside.
It's essentially, it's like a shell. It's a hard shell. And then the inside is the cannoli cream. And a lot of them will have chocolate chips in there as well. Not a lot though. You don't overdo the chocolate chips in the cream.
Yeah. What's the cream taste like? Is it like something you can describe?
Is
it like a cream puff type of cream, or is it more something sweeter?
It's a thick, heavy cream, and it's definitely got it's sweet. I'm trying to think of what you could compare it to. It's kind of just its own thing.
So not low calorie by any means.
Sounds like definitely not.
Sounds good though. I gotta try one if I ever go back to New York.
Yeah, you definitely gotta
into Italian bakery and try some cannolis.
Yeah, definitely give it a shot. I mean, that was like, I went a couple of years back. We went to Hawaii, and the one thing I knew when we went there, I had to have a malasada because I had heard so much about them.
Sounds good. I don't know what it is.
Tell me. So good. It's a Portuguese dough, and they just deep fry it.
Okay.
And a lot of them will come with filling, like they'll have like a strawberry filling or a chocolate filling. But honestly, like they're all good. But even just the plain one is just delicious. I don't know what it is, like the type of dough that they use, and just the way, like, it's so good. It was like so good.
Is it kind of like a donut or no?
Kind of, but not really. It's crispier on the outside than a donut would be, but it's so warm and soft on the inside. It's like a hug from your mom.
Yeah,
like it's so good. Oh my god, they were absolutely delicious. And there's a place that's famous for them called Leonard's
in Hawaii.
Yeah, in Hawaii.
Wow.
There's a place called Leonard's, and they're famous. Like one of their trademarks is they give you a pink box. So if you buy them and like you're walking around with that pink box, everybody knows what you have, and people will make comments left and right.
That's great.
Like it's hysterical how many people are like, "Ooh, can I have one? Can I have one?"
That's funny that it's a Portuguese bread, and is it only in Hawaii, or do other people make it?
I just know. I know Leonard's is strictly in Hawaii. They're on Oahu, and that's it. And I know, and they're famous. You can get them other places too, but I know Leonard's is like just famous for it.
Okay.
But I don't know if you can get them anywhere else. I have. I mean, I literally, when we came back from that vacation, I joked around with my wife that I was gonna like find their recipe and open my own malasada truck here in New York.
How fun! That's cool.
They're really good. They're like if you ever happen to be in Hawaii,
okay,
definitely don't miss out on that one. I felt like while I was there, I had to try stuff. You know, I that was one I definitely wanted to try. I had another meal there called it's either called Moco Loco or Loco Moco. And it's basically it's white rice with it's a hamburger with white rice and a fried egg and brown gravy.
Mm.
And it's delicious. It's delicious. It's really good. And it was the whole thing is the story of it was that it was made like basically a bunch of surfers went into some restaurant there and they didn't have enough money to really buy a full meal. So they just kind of said like, well, what do you have? What can you make us? Like for this is what we have. What can you make us?
Oh, okay.
And so they just kind of tossed it together and it became a thing.
So it actually has a bun and it has the rice.
No, but no bun.
Oh, I see. So what's on the outside? The white rice?
You eat it with a knife and fork.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's really good.
I could see that actually being pretty good with a bun.
I think it would just be too messy.
Yeah.
It would be one of those ones where you would pick it up, take one bite, and then all of it falls out the back.
So it's a hamburger with rice and gravy
and a
fried egg. Okay. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Sounds like it'd be easy to make, you know?
It is. I've made them myself. It's not quite the same, but I've tried it. I've tried doing it myself, you know.
Is the rice sticky rice or is it just plain white rice or
no, it was I'm pretty sure it was sticky rice.
Yeah. I like sticky rice.
They always we had a tour guide while we were there who joked around that you don't get a plate of food when anywhere he said anywhere in Hawaii you're not going to get a plate of food without at least 2 scoops of white rice on that plate.
Yeah. That's true. Did you eat a lot of Spam in Hawaii?
No, we really didn't. No. I did have a really delicious Portuguese sausage. That was really good. I don't know, like we're having this whole food conversation.
I already had dinner and you guys are making me hungry.
I still have some left over here, RC, from my dinner. So I got some breaded chicken patties and some green beans. So I'm ready for the long haul tonight. I might have to take a potty break now that I had some coffee though. So anyways, okay. So as we were talking,
well, as you say, why don't we actually get into what we're ostensibly why we're here?
Yes, this is fun though. I don't like to always just be on the shill.
Yeah, no, I know.
I like to talk and just find out what people are up to, and yeah, I think you're right. It's fun just to have community and not just comics are fun and that's what brought us here. But
right.
There's life beyond comics.
Sure, and honestly, the shilling is obviously that's part of the deal. You're trying to sell comics, but I also feel like when people can get to know you a little bit better, they can kind of understand what you're putting in your comic too. That's
true. Yeah. You can tell that I'm well caffeinated and hopefully I still have some good puns to share with you guys as we talk the next hour.
So now let's get into it. First off, why don't we just kind of like before we get into Beardzzerker, why don't we, which by the way, the link is in the description below anybody. So if you want to back, you can just click right there. I'll take you right to the campaign. Make it nice and easy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Did you get X-Verse, by the way? Did I send you a copy?
It just came today.
Really? Awesome. I thought I sent you one, and I never know with media mail how long it takes. Man.
Yeah, it actually just got here today. Yeah. In fact, it was funny. I actually saved the tape.
Oh, you're not the only one. I think some people like that. That's great.
So you can see it. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, we liked Ethan when he fulfilled his Cyberfrog books. He has his all caps tape on the box. So when you get it, oh, it's something from Ethan. And I just thought that was a classy kind of packaging.
I think it's a cool little thing to just add to the whole experience. It's that it's that you open the mailbox and then you see that tape and you're like, oh, I know what this is, without even looking at it. You know what it is.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's a cool little bonus, just add on to make people excited.
Yeah, I actually get the tape from Sticker Mule.
Okay.
And they do a lot of the die cuts. So it comes in a big roll like this. So when I first got the X-Farce tape, I was showing it to our fans on a live stream, and they thought it was toilet paper. I said that might not be a bad idea for X-Farce's.
Yeah, that actually could work.
Paper. Well, I hope you enjoy it, Jam. We had a lot of fun with that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I wonder. It's funny. Now they got me thinking, how much would it cost to print custom toilet paper?
Marvel's been doing that. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you're not wrong.
If it's on newsprint, if you're in a jam.
That's true. That's true. It will biodegrade. But yeah, no. So let's talk before we get into Beardzzerker first. Let's go back a little bit. We'll just talk about your history, just in case people don't know. Like you said, you mentioned you were working back in the day when Trent and Ethan and Matt Martin were all getting started. So, yeah. So give us a little of your history real quick. Just how did you get started?
Well, I was born in the early 60s. So I grew up kind of in the 70s, watching a lot of TV shows and cartoons. But the thing that really got me into comics was Charles Schulz's Peanuts comic book strip, which was in the newspaper, and a lot of the Sunday funnies. When my parents owned a restaurant, I would find myself down at the restaurant, and I would occupy my time by reading either these Peanuts book collections or funny animal type comics that were age appropriate, for a 6 or 7 year old. So my earliest memories are probably reading a lot of the stuff that maybe you guys grew up on, like Richie Rich, Harvey. Maybe you didn't. I'm not sure, but
I used to. It's funny that you mentioned the Peanuts collections. I used to read a lot of those when I was little.
Oh, good. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So someone had given me a Mattel. They had hardcovers, and there were 6 or 7 volumes in this set, and it was kind of a flip concept. You'd have half the book would be you're a good man, Charlie Brown, and then you flip it over, and then it would be Snoopy. So at the halfway point on the books, it would split, and so half the book was one theme, and then half the book was the other. I wish I still had them. I bet they're on eBay. And, but I wore the covers off those things, and
right.
I've since moved. But I would have to say Charles Schulz was one of the biggest influences, and I would used to draw my own comics, you were describing. You would kind of copy what you liked. So I just remember, drawing stuff on lined paper and trying to make my own little comic book strip adventures. And I still have them in a binder that's,
that's awesome.
40 years old. And so as I got older, I kind of gravitated out of the funny animals, and I started to like the superhero type fare, Marvel and DC. And then when I got into high school, my high school offered a cartooning class. And so I started to get into a cartooning class, and that's where I met Parsonovich, who's the guy that drew the Black Belt Hamsters comic book. And so we had a group of guys, and we really liked stuff like Heavy Metal Magazine back in the day.
Right.
And so we came up with this fanzine called Overload. This is actually the first issue from 1979 when I was still in high school. And it's a spoof of Alien was one of the main stories in this. So this is something that me and my high school friends published with the help of my parents. They funded it.
Oh, wow.
And that kind of got my feet wet into self-publishing. This is kind of funny. You guys might like this. This is a story called The Incredible Gulk. And it's what if a seagull became like the Hulk. I didn't write this, but one of my friends, Ross Turner, he's actually an actor that's getting a lot of work these days. And Parsonovich was really, really influenced by Mobius, and you can kind of see by his line work. So Overload lasted about 5 issues, and I did it. I think we did it, and we actually started getting distribution on
I was
the
just
last
going to
couple
ask.
issues. Yeah, so before I got into it, though, I did it completely backwards. I mean, I thought, oh, I'm just going to print a couple thousand of these, and I'm going to be able to sell them. But I didn't know, that you should have a distributor,
right?
That you need to have like a price that's going to work for retail. So this first issue was only like, how much was it? It was only like $1, which is probably what it cost me to make it. So I had no concept of markup and all that stuff. And so we printed these, and eventually I started to see, I need to send these copies of the book to the distributors, and hopefully they'll place orders. So eventually we did get some national distribution with the later issues. And
now, were you still in high school at this point?
As of Overload 582, I think I graduated in 81. So I think close to it, Jam, either almost graduated or just starting to my first year of college.
Wow.
We were starting to get distribution. So that was exciting. So my friends and I, we would go to these cons, like in the Bay Area. I live about 5 hours north of San Francisco, and they used to have these big cons called Creation Con, and they would have like Stan Lee and Star Trek people, and these are really big cons in hotels and ballrooms and stuff. And so my friends and I thought, well, we need to try to put ourselves out there. So we would buy a table at these cons to try to sell Overload magazine and introduce ourselves to fans that hadn't heard of us before, because we didn't have the internet. Back in the day, you'd have to actually go to cons, and you didn't have the ability to sell online. It was all through the mail, and we didn't have email back then, so it was all through stamps and sending copies and stuff the old-fashioned way. So long story short, I met the people that were Eclipse Comics at one of these cons. I met people like Sam Keith at these cons. And so when the Turtles came out, I was a comic book store owner and I was still in college. And I saw that this underground book by Eastman and Laird was really picking up steam, and that people were selling it like crazy, even though no one, it wasn't a big 2 book.
Right. And
so I thought, well, we kind of have this blessing or curse of having a weird sense of humor. So I thought, well, why don't I try to spoof this? Because I grew up reading a lot, or watching a lot of stuff like you guys mentioned, Mel Brooks earlier.
Sure.
And movies like Airplane and things that were like, like gag a minute type things.
Yep.
And Saturday Night Live, when it was good, I enjoyed that show a lot. But so my first work was with Cracked, which is a magazine you guys might remember. It was kind of like Mad Magazine.
Yep.
So I was submitting, even though I was doing Overload, I really wanted to try to get published with Mad or Cracked. And I kept on knocking on their doors and sending them submissions. And eventually the editors at Cracked said, yeah, we think we can start using some of your stuff. So for about 5 issues of Cracked, starting with issue 200, I was in Cracked. But my biggest desire was to write the movie spoofs that were in Cracked magazine, because that was the thing I always loved to read, whether it be Mad Magazine or Cracked, was the movie spoofs.
Sure.
But that was like, you had to be a senior writer. And it was John Severin. John Severin was the artist on all those really cool Cracked movie satires. So that gig didn't open up to me. So I just thought, well, maybe I just got to try to do this on my own. So that's why I thought of the Black Belt Hamsters when I was in college. And I asked Parsonovich, would you maybe draw this story idea that I have? And so he drew like 31 pages of the Black Belt Hamsters. And then we sent copies of it to Eclipse, and Eclipse said, yeah, well, we'll give it a shot. So they they distributed it and they solicited orders, and it sold like 53,000 copies.
Wow.
Which was really a lot, for them, and a black and white book by a couple of unknown guys. And so we kind of rode on the coattails of Eastman and Laird, and it was only supposed to be a one shot, but it sold so well that it went into a second printing. And then Eclipse said, Don, do you want to make this ongoing series? And I said, sure. Because after the first issue, I had enough to make a down payment on a house.
Wow.
It was crazy. And the thing was with Eclipse, which was kind of strange, was that I approached them with the book, and they said, we just want to offer you a distribution deal. We don't want, you'll have to pay for the printing. And I thought, I guess I was excited because this was a pretty significant publisher coming back to me and wanting to work with me. But I thought it was odd that they wouldn't publish it like they did their other books. But on the flip side, they said, well, if we're just going to distribute it for you, we'll take a lesser cut because there's less risk. So we'll take like 15% and you can keep the rest, and we'll help you get it out there. So when all the numbers came in and the book was like their bestseller, I think they were kicking themselves if they didn't publish it. But here I was, this kid in college, and I take this order to my local printer, and I said, I need like 53,000 comic books printed. And this was like the biggest single order they'd ever seen. And so I was down at this local printer. I was loading up boxes to send to, through UPS. So it was really dirty. And, so I learned a lot. And so after issue 2, Eclipse said, okay, well, we'll publish it now, and you don't have to worry about handling all the printing logistics. So that was nice.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my springboard, is Eclipse and the Hamsters was what I used to open the door for me to get into comics. And then I did, some other projects with Eclipse. And then when Eclipse shut down in the early 90s, Bill Mouse and I decided, after we got done working on the original X-Farce, that we would start our own company, which was called Parody Press. And so we did a lot of parodies back in the 90s. And then it kind of went dormant in the late 90s, and I came back, just like last year. So I've been out of the business for a good while.
So what was it that drew you back in? Is it just, was it that you just couldn't resist, you still needed to do it? Or was it a combination of things, of you saw this new indie movement happening, or, what was it that actually made you pull the trigger and get back in?
That's a good question, Jam. It was a combination, because I always felt like this need to be creative, and in my other job, which is mainly a sales job, it's not, I sell real estate, so it pays well, and I get to be somewhat creative because I'm writing descriptions about homes that I'm selling and so forth. But it really didn't stimulate my brain in the way that I would see stuff and I'd say, I can do better than that, or I can write something that's funny. Why am I, lowering my standard of what I'm, what I'm watching and reading, when I feel like I can challenge myself and try to make something that people would laugh at. And so that's basically what I saw Ethan on his channel, and he was announcing that Cyberfrog was doing great. And so I think maybe a couple of years ago, I actually reached out to Ethan and I said, would you be interested in maybe doing a Hamsters Cyberfrog crossover?
Right.
And it took him a while, and he got back to me and he said, yeah, let's do it. So at the time, Dynamite Entertainment, which is owned by Nick Barucci, he had actually purchased the rights to the Hamsters in the it just finalized like last year, but he actually made the offer to me like around 2008.
Okay.
So it took Dynamite did a mini series with the Hamsters, and then it was basically in their catalog of characters, but he wasn't really doing anything with it. So I thought, what better way to introduce the Hamsters to a new generation, but to try to see if they might, if Ethan Cyberfrog and the Hamsters did a book together, it would be the best of both worlds. So that was on the burner, was to do this awesome collaboration with Cyberfrog. And then unfortunately they had a falling out, Ethan and Nick did last year. And so my project, even though I had written it and there was about, 10 pages of pencils done, it's just kind of on the shelf right now. And, it's a bummer because I was so excited that this was going to be kind of the relaunch of my hamsters. And I don't know if that'll ever see the light of day, but I do have other hamsters ideas that I would love to work on. So maybe after I get done with Beardzzerker, I might go back to Dynamite and see if they'll, do a mini series or a one shot or something like that.
Yeah, it would have been neat to see. But I'm sure, this is not the first time that something is kind of, you've had something in the works that fell apart. Like that happens, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like get used to disappointment from the Princess Bride.
So then, like you said, you did X-Farce Reloaded. That was kind of your way to get back in front of everybody. And you kind of, I feel like you kind of jumped back in, like both feet just boom right back in. And you did because it's not a little book.
No. Yeah. Well, we thought Jam and RC that the because the Hamsters project fell through, I was thinking, well, what could we do that would be kind of a good jump start for Parody Press? And X-Farce was like the best-selling parody that I'd ever written back in the 90s. I think it sold close to like 80,000 copies.
Wow.
For Eclipse, and it was just a black and white book, and it was the very first book that Bill and I ever worked on. So I had this fondness for that title, and I thought, why don't we do this? Because there's still a lot of X-Men fans. Why don't we take the best Parody Press X-Men stories that we did, repackage it in full color, but then add like another 18 to 20 pages of new stuff. Right. So that's what X-Farce Reloaded is. It's kind of a remastered anthology of about 8 different X-Men stories. And the majority of it is the X-Farce book that we did in the 90s, but it's never been in color. So everything that you got in that book is all stuff that has never been, printed in color. So that's kind of what took us most of the time, is to get somebody to color everything. And if I had to do it all over again, an anthology is a lot of wrangling, because we have like about 13 different creators, and you've got like a writers and letters, colors, and graphics people. And when you have that many things that you're waiting on, it's a little stressful. So I have to say Beardzzerker is a lot more I think it's an easier book because there's only like 5 people working on it.
Right.
But X-Farce Reloaded was more like 13 people. And trying to do that with your day job is, it's a little like but we fulfilled on time, but I was, it was down to the wire. And I told people we were trying to ship it out in April. And, we just announced the crowdfund in January. So I think we did a good job with getting it out there. And a lot of these crowdfunding books, you back it and then you don't ever hear from anybody. It's like, where's my book? It's like a year later, where's my book? So it's really important to me, if I'm going to go out there and expect people to back my books, I had to do something that I knew I could deliver on. We made X-Farces. The campaign goal was only like less than 2,000. So it was always my thought that even if it doesn't make a lot of money, I want to give back and I want to make people laugh again, because, we don't have Mad Magazine anymore.
Right.
We had a really crappy 2020. 2021's not looking that great either. So I thought let's give back to the world and hopefully do a book that will make people smile, because it seems like people are just canceling each other for trying to be funny, and that's just kind of the culture we live in right now.
Yeah, we did an episode of our other show, The Best Ever, which is every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, plug, where where we talked all about, we did an episode focused on screwball comedies. So we talked about Airplane and The Naked Gun and all these other, ridiculous movies, Hot Shots and Top Secret, and just all these kinds of these funny Spaceballs, like, and we were talking about it, and it was funny because as we were doing it, we started to realize like all these movies we're talking about are movies that wouldn't be able to be made today. Number one,
exactly,
and they're all, none of them are new. They're all from fairly, a while ago. Like, you're talking about movies from like the 80s, and as much as I, listen, I grew up in the 80s, but that was a long time ago.
Right. Yeah.
So it's funny. It's nice to see somebody bringing just comedy and just saying, hey, let's be funny. Let's do something funny. And
Right.
We're just going to go for the jokes, and we're going to go for every joke. and that's what we're going to do, because people just don't do that anymore.
No, they don't. And I mean, I can't remember the last movie that was a recent movie that really kind of made me laugh the way that the movies that you just described do. So hopefully, people will be receptive to our, this campaign, and we're close to hitting our goal, which is 7,000. And it's a fun book. It's got a lot of Keanu humor in it, if you're a Keanu Reeves fan. But well, yeah, you pulled up.
Yeah, I pulled it up because that's what it, thinking about it, because when I first heard you announce the book, I was like, okay, because, Beardzzerker, the Keanu and Boom Studios comic, was very successful. And I was like, okay, this is cool. He's doing like a parody of something new. Like, this is cool. This is what used to happen. Something would be successful, and then someone would take it and just, just take the piss out of it and just have a good time with it, like, and that's what I saw. But then I realized, as I looked at the campaign, like, you're not just parodying Beardzzerker, because Keanu has such a huge catalog of stuff that you're reaching into so many different Keanu things.
You're right.
To parody. Maybe, you know what? Should we watch the trailer just to?
Sure. Have you seen this, RC?
I believe I saw little snippets of it.
Comics are totally awesome. And I'm totally awesome too. Beardzzerker has everything you want from a comic book. It's got great drawings, colors, great story. It's got great action, has a little romance, and it's about something. Not just any something. It's a parody of some thing. And I was like, well, I used to collect and I love comic books. And they were like, so, did you ever want to make a comic book? And I was like, yeah. And then Parody Press was like, oh, yeah. So they made a comic book that's a parody of my comic book. And it will probably be pretty hilarious, because that's what a parody is. Or at least what it's supposed to be. This idea of kind of like a rock and roll warrior. Someone in an altered state. Someone with a big guitar axe. Then a pet cat that's from the hood. Just out of control. Speaking of out of control, there's his beard. It gets bigger and longer throughout the book until it takes on a fantastical life of its own. It's like, whoa! So check it out. If you do, I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it. But honestly, I didn't really do that much, other than rambling on about comics and books. I mean, comic books. Wait, what was I saying? Oh well. Enjoy! Beardzzerker from Parody Press. Back it today!
That's such a great trailer.
Thank you, man. I'm glad that you like. I love to hear people snicker when they watch it.
Well, what's funny is I don't know if people remember the trailer for Beardzzerker when they did their campaign had Keanu in it presenting as if he was like going to be the one actually making this comic, even though like we all know like it's just his name. Like that's the whole point of him being there.
Right. That trailer was like that was really what pushed me over the edge to jump in, because you watch him and he's obviously very excited, but he looks like he's like in a camping tent or something talking to you. And so we pretty much take his script from that promo. And I basically put it through the chin satire brain and made it something that I think people would like. And then we found a voice actor online that was really good at Keanu. So it came together really well. People say that they enjoy that trailer quite a bit.
Yeah, it's very good. What's funny is I'm one of those people, I'll freely admit, when I go to crowdfunding campaigns, I generally don't even watch the trailers. But I knew I had to watch this one because
good,
because I knew there was going to be more to it than just, hey, I'm making a book. You want to buy it? You know,
right? Yeah, I always admired people's trailers that were above board. And, a lot of them, God bless them, the creators will try to do it and they'll do their own voice. And, I don't have the voice to do a good trailer, but if I can find somebody that's reasonably priced and, a really good video editor, then let's give it a shot. So with our first book with X-Farce, we had a guy that sounded like Patrick Stewart, do the narration. And I was really inspired by that X-Men movie that came out, I think around 2000, that he was, played Professor X. So I told the video guy, I want to make it look like it's kind of a riff on the X-Men movie trailer from 2000. And so that's what we used to kind of make that trailer. And then we used the same company to help us, edit this one. And it's the guys that work at Ascension Cinema that did our trailers. And they're the ones that kind of do the ones for Ethan and Dan
they
Fraga.
do a bunch. Yeah. So like I said, there's obviously more than just the Beardzzerker parody in this. And you've got, just scrolling through, like you can see, first, the other thing I wanted to just mention real quick, the music in that trailer is great.
Thank you. Thank you. I was thinking, do I want to do like a AC/DC background music or something that people would be familiar with, and try to find something that's royalty free that kind of sounds like the kind of thing that I wanted. And then I remembered there was a guy that I met through a mutual friend who the mutual friend was a big comic book fan, and his buddy, who was also a musician, was also a comic book fan. So on Facebook, this guy named Laz Novak, he sent me one of his CDs like maybe 10 years ago, and it was nothing but instrumental guitar music. And I kept in touch with him over the years. And when I thought, wow, why don't I see if Laz has any cool music that I could use? And so I reached out to him, and he says, yeah, you can use whatever you find on my Bandcamp page for your campaign. And so I used one of his tracks for the background music on the trailer that we just watched. And then I thought, well, why don't I see if we can do a actual MP3 digital album? So we're actually launching, if you look onto the right, if you scroll up just a little bit, Jam, where you see that image of the of Keanu holding a guitar. I'm sorry, scroll down. There you go, right there. So there's the Kiss My Axe album for for $7. You can add on, you're going to get 7 tracks, including the one that you heard in the trailer. And so we're working out a deal with Laz where you can listen to some pretty cool music while you read the comic book.
Yeah, no, I just thought like the music fit so perfectly. And then I had looked through, and I saw the perk with the album, and I'm like, that's incredible. It's like he's got original music for this comic, and it fits so perfectly.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was really happy that Laz he actually designed that album cover too. So he's not only a musician, he's a graphic artist, and so the whole shtick is that Beardzzerker has an axe that's a guitar, and it's powered by the rock god. So in the logo, if you and I and probably RC grew up listening to ZZ Top, that's where you get the 2 Z's is
right
for the beard, the beard. But originally I was just going to call it Beardzzerker with just 1 Z. And then for some reason, I just had this idea that, ZZ Top, they're the guys famous for beards. So
right.
I told my graphic, logo guy, let's do a logo that uses the ZZ in the middle of it. And that's how this logo came to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's literally named Beardzzerker. So, who's more known for their beards than ZZ Top when it comes to rock and roll, And then you've got some actually really amazing artists like hooked up with this.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy. I mean, it helps to have connections, after being in the business for so long, and just welcome into this community after being gone for so long has been really, really a blessing. But Jim O'Reilly, you saw his piece. That was the very first one where he's, on top of the, one of the jokes that we have in this book is that it's a kid who fell asleep, and for 30 years he's been in a coma, but during that whole time he's been programmed to be a ultimate weapon when he wakes up. So he's like 40 something now, but he's still got the mental brain power of a teenager that wants to play heavy metal music. So he's not really that smart, but his intentions are good. And so we wanted to make it play into the whole Bill and Ted motif. So back in the day, you guys remember at Bill and Ted, he used a phone booth to travel with Rufus and the guys. But in this 2020, Beardzzerker, he asked, can I still use my phone booth to travel? And his government liaison, who I called Rupert because I didn't want to get sued, he says, well, we don't have telephone booths anymore, but we use these portal potties. So if you go back up to that first image that shows Beardzzerker with his buddies out in space, that's the portal potty. It's like a nuclear powered, one of those porta potties.
Right.
So he travels underground via the sewer system versus through time and space. So it's just kind of a fun play on the whole Bill and Ted.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not just Beardzzerker. You've got Bill and Ted references. You've got when it comes to Keanu, I mean, one of the brilliant things is that Keanu has such a huge catalog to choose from, and everybody knows his stuff too. He's been so successful for so long that you can make the Bill and Ted references, people will understand what that is. You can make a Matrix reference and people will understand what that is. It's honestly, he's like you couldn't have been more lucky with the guy from Hollywood who decided to make the comic that you decided to spoof.
Thank you. Yeah, timing worked out well. And this is the thing though, Jam, is that normally the book will be out before I read it and then I spoof it. But with Beardzzerker, I knew I had to kind of just go off what Boom Studios had released. So I didn't really know what the story was going to be about. So I just had to kind of, make up a story that I thought was going to be similar to what they had advertised. And I finally read the first issue of Beardzzerker that came out. And, it's there are some similarities, but, ours is obviously a lot more tongue in cheek and not nearly as violent as the Boom Studios version. Did you read Beardzzerker?
You know what? I haven't yet.
Not yet.
How
about you, RC?
No, I can't say that I have.
Okay. It's not for kids. It's definitely really violent. Thanks, Resistance.
Yeah, Resistance.
I appreciate you.
Said he's looking forward to it. It's definitely like I said, it's a guy who's just ripe, and it's funny because I asked you this. We did an interview, a written interview for the website, for indiecomics.underground.com, my website, another plug, where I asked you, were you nervous at all to do a parody of Keanu? Because everybody, I mean, it's almost a joke how everybody loves Keanu. So you could, were you worried that people would be afraid you were being mean to Keanu?
Well, I'm a big Keanu fan, so all our spoofs that Bill and I ever did were always with a loving, non-malicious feel. If we were coming out and calling him, different names and making him in a bad light, I would see how that might ruffle some feathers. But I was actually on a show with Dan Shaheen, who has his own comic book channel, and he knows the Boom Studios publisher, Ross Ritchie, and he private messaged me and he says, by the way, Ross loves your stuff. He wants to know if he can share one of your images. And I went, by all means, I would love to get Keanu a copy of this. And if he even tweeted it, I'm sure my sales would double. But I think he'll read it and he'll probably laugh. I don't know if you guys saw that Netflix movie that he did. He made a kind of a cameo in this kind of romantic comedy between these two Asian characters. I think it was called Always Be My Maybe or something. It had Randall Park in it. And it's hilarious because Keanu plays himself in this movie, and he's become the boyfriend to the main character's girl.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
So he goes to these highfalutin restaurants, and he lives in a penthouse, and he's playing himself, but he does such a great parody of what people assume him to be. I would say he would love Beardzzerker just after seeing his take in this movie that he did.
Right. Anybody who can laugh at themselves, you gotta
Exactly. Ken is a good guy. I like him a lot.
And this, what's funny is you've got all these, you've got the She cover and and then you have this one here. That is,
yeah. Everybody loves the Frazetta, kind of the Death Dealer homage. And if you watch the trailer, you could say you didn't see a lot of this artwork that we now have in the campaign, because at the time I didn't think I was going to do a whole lot of variants. But then I kind of thought, that would be a good sales tool to see if I can get some established characters to make an appearance on the cover. They're not in the book, but they're they're in the covers. And so Billy Tucci and I go back a long ways because we were publishing back in the 90s, and he was kind enough to let us use She. And then I reached out to Ethan, and I thought, I don't think he's he's pretty tight, close to the chest with Cyberfrog. And I kind of don't think I would like to overstep my boundary, because we were supposed to do the Hamsters book, and that didn't work out. So I thought, well, maybe Rainbow the Brute might be a fun one to ask him about. So I took a chance, and I messaged him and I said, hey, would you be interested in letting us use Rainbow the Brute on this Beardzzerker book? And he said, yeah. And so we worked out a deal. And then I was thinking, oh, how does Rainbow fight Beardzzerker? Because Rainbow's only 6 inches tall. Right. And Beardzzerker's 6 feet tall. And I'm thinking, oh, what have I done? I mean, how can they fight each other and make it look realistic? And I was just really having a hard time with the whole size differential between the two characters. So I went to Preston Azevedo, who I really had seen his stuff online, and I'd been on his show before, and I could, out of all the people I could think of that would be an awesome painter, he was like the first guy that came to mind. And I said, Preston, can you, we're thinking of kind of like a Frazetta-esque play on this cover. What do you think you can do? And he says, well, I got an idea. So this what you see here is what he came up with. And it's, if you look up Frazetta's Death Dealer, that's right, kind of one of his most famous paintings. So this is a homage to that with obviously Rainbow has beaten Beardzzerker, and now he gets to keep his guitar axe and his cat. So I thought that was just a brilliant cover. And everybody, this is the best-selling one. And I think it's going to be the first appearance of Rainbow the Brute. So a lot of people, I think, are kind of speculating on that first appearance of him, because I don't think Rainbow's coming out until like winter of this year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Speaking, it's funny actually, you're talking about that Death Dealer painting, the Frazetta painting. I remember as a kid, the first time I ever saw that painting, it was on the side of a van.
Really?
Yes, someone had it airbrushed on the side of a van.
Cool. That's awesome.
Now that's something you don't see anymore.
Do you remember? I think there was an album cover, like Molly Hatchet used Frazetta, and those guys like Frazetta and Boris Vallejo, they were like really big in our era. So Preston did a great job. He's doing some sketch cards for our campaign. I only have like two more of the sketch cards by Preston left. That's the Jack Kirby cover. Actually, I should mention this while we're on the show. I put out a little update on my campaign that if the first 5 backers of this cover by Dax will get a free X-Farce Reloaded comic book. So for a $15 cover price, which is what our price is on this book, you'll get like a $25 additional book. But I only have one left to make up the 5 that I offered. So if somebody's watching this and they go to the campaign site and they see that there's still one more available, you're going to get a free copy of X-Farce.
Well, there you go. So you got to act now.
Yeah.
Operators are standing by. Act now.
Yeah. All these are signed. And if people want them signed by me, there's no additional charge. And I promise I won't spill my food on it.
That might add to the value too.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
I've got these add-on beards. People like me to wear this, but it tastes really bad. It's like Chinese synthetic fibers in my mouth. But we've got add-on beard for $7 if you wanna.
Does that count as a face covering?
It could, yeah. Toupee, face covering, garter belt, whatever you want.
COVID repellent.
Exactly.
Oh man. Okay. And then this is the movie poster cover.
Correct. That's by Thad Rhodes. He did on your X-Farce book, he did a couple pages of artwork in the Neat Mutants, and he's also the back cover artist on the X-Farce book. But he's got this cool photorealistic style, and so we wanted it to look like you've probably seen the original. Let me see if I can find it here. Too much stuff here. Yeah, okay. So this was like the image, on
right,
the Boom Studios book. So I sent this to Thad, and then this is what Thad came up with, which is pretty faithful to that. And my wife, she's the kind of our graphic designer, and she, laid out the
bottom here,
the logos, and and Keith Gleason, who I don't know if you've ever interviewed Keith. He works for Alterna and
Mighty Mascots.
Yeah, so he's working on our book as our letter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
yeah.
He was in X-Farce. Yeah, he was in X-Farce too. And then the last edition would be the U.S. Assassin. And I developed a friendship with Mark Polton and Mike McMahon. I kind of like the retro G.I. Joe feel to his character. And he's got this great sidekick called Bazooka Dog,
right?
Who is like this super cybernetic, powerful bullet shooting dog. And I thought, how funny would it be to have the cat and the dog together? So this is a full like wraparound cover. The only one that we have is a wraparound. So you got the main characters on the front with Holly, which is the girl in the book, and then on the back cover you've got the dogs and the cats working together.
Mass hysteria.
Exactly. They're from Ghostbusters.
And this is Cat Stevens. This is the
Cat Stevens. Character. Yeah. I thought of him because there was a movie called Keanu by Key and Peele about a cat that was I'd actually never watched the movie. I just looked up the images of him and I said, how funny would it be to have this cat that was named Keanu in a movie be in our book? So I just took another Keanu pop culture reference and put it in the book. And this is like the breakout character. Everybody loves Cat Stevens. I mean, I have these cool die cut stickers for the first 35 backers. So they're going to get the Cat Stevens die cut sticker, and who knows, maybe he'll be the breakout character and have his own spinoff.
I can see that.
He knows Kung Mew instead of Kung Fu.
Nice.
Kung Mew.
And that's what I'm talking about, is that kind of stuff. Like going for every joke, every punchline, every pun, every ridiculous thing you can come up with.
Yeah.
Like,
you got to try. I mean, I know that 100% of the time I'm not going to make people laugh, but it's not for lack of trying. I feel like it's kind of like the shotgun effect. You gotta, if it sticks, great. It might go over some people's heads, and some people might just like bust a gut. But I don't laugh at everything that I watch, but I'd have to say, like in Airplane, there's some pretty, that movie had a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Well, that's that approach. It's just rapid fire, nonstop jokes.
Right. And nobody does that anymore. I kind of wish the Zucker brothers were still making movies, because I think the world needs them. We have guitar picks, which is what you're showing right there. So if we hit 7,000, which is our initial stretch goal, we have like this. I actually have them printed already. They're Beardzzerker guitar picks. And are either one of you musicians?
I am not. I played in high school. I played a little guitar, but that was a long time ago.
Nice. Yeah. So I just thought, as an incentive, what better kind of tie-in would be like a guitar pick.
Right. No, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Like thematically, it makes perfect sense. And that was why Art T-Bear had a guitar pick with Chrono Mechanics, because the one character was a rock star.
I heard about that. I didn't know that until just in like the last few weeks that he did one as well. So that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it makes sense, why not? That's a cool little perk,
Thank you. And we've got like every $1,000 after our first 7,000, we have additional little stretch goals. So that's like a Satin Rockstar bookmark, and then we have trading cards.
The satin bookmarks. I haven't seen those in a long time. I remember those from like when I was younger. I remember we used to have those.
No one reads books anyway. I guess it would be a comic book bookmarker, maybe. So we had fun. I don't know if you guys watch Michael Bancroft, but we launched Beardzzerker on April 1st. And before we launched, they tease him a lot about his fashion sense. So they tease him that he's wearing blouses all the time. So my wife and I thought, well, we're going to go on his show. Why don't we buy him a puffy pirate shirt from like the Seinfeld episode? So we had it sent to him, and if you scroll down, you'll see him modeling it for us And so so we made this stretch goal. If we hit 13,000, that we get to buy him another manly blouse.
What's funny is I like stretch goals like that, like just ridiculous ones that just are fun for the community. Like I love that kind of stuff.
Good. Yeah, there you go.
Blousecraft. Yeah.
So we have fun with him. He's going to probably do our closeout show. And we had a fun launch party with him, but I'm not going to tell you what we already have something on the way. So whether we hit 13,000 or not, we are sending him something that you'll have to tune in to see him put on, because it's going to be pretty funny. It ties into Beardzzerker. There's a famous rock star that comes along in the end of the book, and you'll have to tune in like around June 1st on his show to see what it is.
Okay. That's a nice tease. Yeah, so
hey, this time goes by fast. You guys, this has been a fun. We can keep going, but I'm just saying it's amazing how time flies when you're having fun.
It really does. Like that's what we try to do. We try to have a fun show. We're not the biggest show, but we try to be like the most fun show.
Yeah, I saw you on. I think you'd already interviewed me before, I think, for X-Farce, but I didn't know you had a channel until I think you were on open mic a few weeks ago, like promoting your. Is that correct? You were
on Bancroft, and I was on Pete.
Oh, you're on okay.
Yeah, Bancroft did an open mic. I was on that one once, and I was on Pete's. Oh gosh, I don't remember now.
Okay, I've seen you around. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I have the website, which I feel like there's so many. Everybody's got a channel. There's so many channels that I felt like. I wanted to do something different. So I figured if I do, originally it started as a zine. It was it was an online zine. So I put out an issue once a month, and I had guest artists doing covers, and I did a couple of covers myself when I couldn't find someone to do it. And then I had a bunch of interviews in there, and I put it all together in a nice, pretty looking PDF, and I would email it to subscribers and then post it on the website after the subscribers got it. And,
awesome.
And it was cool. And I really enjoyed doing it that way. But then, and actually what was really nice, my wife, for Christmas that year, actually printed them all out for me. So I actually have hard copies of them.
What a sweet wife. That's so cool.
It was cool. But then I said, you know what was happening was, for certain people, the timing just wasn't working out right. For when I was going to launch the issue, their campaign would have already been over. And it was kind of like, so I said, you know what, there's got to be a better way. Let me bite the bullet. Like, I liked doing the zine format, but I said, let me just turn it into a full blown, blog style website, and we'll just do it that way. So that way I can make an update anytime, any day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty of the internet, is being able to just kind of change things on the fly. I really like your logo a lot. I'm wondering, how did you come up with the smiley face with the tongue and skull and crossbones?
That actually, I call him Smiley Bones. So that's his name. I don't know if people even know that or not. I don't know if I've ever said that. That's what I call
you have, because I remember you talking about that in your earlier videos.
I actually created him. It's actually really weird. Back in the original Nintendo DS, the handheld system.
Right. I had one.
When they came out with Mario Kart, it was the first Mario Kart that had online play. And it also had, you could play obviously local with other people and stuff. And one of the things that they had you do is you could create like a little symbol for yourself in the game. And for some reason, that was what I came up with.
Oh, cool.
And I really don't even know where it came from, the idea of it. I just thought it was like a fun logo of he's sticking his tongue out. He's giving you a little razzing. It's kind of like a skull and crossbones, but not as dark,
right.
And, just kind of silly and fun. And it just stuck. And I just kept it around ever since.
And do you sell t-shirts on your site?
Yeah, I have a shop on my site. It's got the t-shirt that's back there. there.
Right there. Okay. How much are they? I might have to get one.
I
$20 or
yeah, it's not more than 20. I made sure I kept it below that. Like, I think if it's anything, it's 20 at the most. And I think it's actually less than that.
Do you go through like Zazzle or Spring or
Teespring? Yeah.
Teespring.
Yeah.
A funny story was that I'll show you this shirt. This is the X-Farce related shirt. So I was really excited because we were launching X-Farce, and I got these cool kind of swaggy things. Like there's a lunchbox tier, and then there's a mug, which I saw on the site. But I was really wanted to get into the fashion thing, and I've seen other people do these stores, and so I had X-Farce Reloaded, the design, up on Spring, and I was starting to advertise. We're going to offer stickers, and let's see here. This is kind of cool. This is like an iPhone case.
That's cool.
Yeah, they would send you samples, and they were almost like at cost, just so you can kind of see. So I ordered these. I had like this shirt, and I had this, and a sticker, and I was all ready to launch, and announce to people that they could buy these items on our store on Spring. And then I logged in one day, and my store was shut down. I can't get into my store to manipulate or promote this. And then I get this email, and they say, we decided to shut your store down because we feel like you're copyright infringing with your creation. And I went, what? And obviously it was Marvel. They were probably fearing the boot of Marvel. And I'm thinking, X-Farce has been around since like 1992, and you guys are being buttheads about this. So I thought, well, if Spring's not going to do it, let me take it to Zazzle. So I take it to Zazzle, like within the same 3 days, they said, sorry, we can't do your shirt. So wow, that really sucks. Yeah, I was really bummed about that. Beardzzerker, I don't think I would have that problem. But because this looks so much like X-Men and Marvel, I guess they don't want to risk getting some kind of trouble.
What's funny is I actually, and this is probably more embarrassing for me than anything, but I had an idea for a shirt that I was going to put on my Teespring store, just as, because I said, like I have my Smiley Bones t-shirt, and there's a sticker. You can get like a die cut sticker and everything. I have it on my iPad case, which is upstairs, or I'd show it to you. But I also, I was like, I'll make some funny shirts maybe or something, and see if I can sell those. So I had the idea. I don't know if you remember, back in the day, there was a thing that it was a fairly popular shirt. They used to sell it in like Spencer's and Hot Topic and all that kind of stuff. And it would say like the man with the arrow pointing up, and then it would say the legend and the arrow pointing down.
They still sell those in Spencer's and Hot Topic.
Okay.
I swear to you.
So I had the idea. I was like, what if I took the old, what if I took that idea, but I took the old, the Kirby, this man, this monster, and did that?
Mine would say this man, and then it would say the myth down.
So I came up with I made the design. I had it. I tried to make it look like the writing from the old Kirby. The Fantastic Four with the Thing story. This. And I had the arrows and everything. I put it all together. I went to put it up on the shop, and they wouldn't let me list it because of copyright.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow. They must have some Big Brother police going through and making sure that that's too bad. Well, I guess we both got spanked a little bit.
Well, I actually had trouble. It's funny because I actually had trouble with another thing on there. I was doing. I put on Indie Comics Underground. I actually have there's two short comics on there that are comics that I did, and one of them is a short that I did for a contest, and the other one was just one I did for myself. It was these characters that I had created years and years ago as a kid, and they were blatant Ninja Turtle ripoffs. And in fact, their old name was the Furry Fighting Kung Fu Ferrets.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so what I did is I had this, I just had ideas kicking around in my head about like revisiting them, but like changing it and making it actually original. So I did, and I came up with this idea of the Tail Kickers, and they're a band, and they're also like, you know, human-sized ferrets who they each know a different martial art, and they have a human who's with them, and he's like the lead singer. They were his pets, and they end up being transformed. And so then, like, they're still they're a rock band with him, and everyone just thinks they're like a costume rock band, like Guar or something, you know, like they just think they're dudes in costumes. And so
that's pretty funny. I like it.
So what I did was I said, well, I'll give them all names, and I named them all. I like the three ferrets in the book. They're named Axel, Ozzy, and Lemmy. And so I made this short comic featuring them because I wanted to do something just new with them. So I renamed it. They're called Tail Kickers. That's the name of their band. I made a logo for the band, and I said, I'm going to put a shirt up, and I'll put a sticker up and whatever, and it'll be fun. You know, I'll just put it up there, and if anybody wants it, they can get it or whatever. And maybe, you know, and down the road, I actually would like to do a real comic with them.
Yeah, I was saying I love this concept. I'd bet it's right up my alley. You know, you got rodents and kung fu action. So,
you know, and I have lots of stuff. I mean, I have the first issue now is like plotted. I'm doing the script. I've got the second issue already, like basic plot outline. But I went to post the sticker and whatever, because I made what I think is a cool logo for them. It kind of looks like a Chuck Taylor, and it has on the bottom of the foot, it says Tail Kickers on the bottom of the shoe. And I posted it, but when I posted it in the description, I put the character names. They wouldn't let me list it with the character names because they were worried about copyright. Because of Axel, Lemmy, and Ozzy, they were worried about copyright.
Wow.
So I had
strange.
I had to take it down, and I had to repost it without their names in it, and then it was fine.
I see.
Yeah, it was really odd. Like, so I have a feeling they just have like it's whatever it is. It's an automatic filter that just grabs anything that they think could possibly be copyrighted in any way, and they just pull it. Like, as soon as you try to do it.
Yeah, I bet that's probably what flagged it, is I might have said like X-Men parody or something, and that's.
But what was funny was, you know, they pulled it down, and then I contacted them, and I'm like, this is my thing, you know, I created this, and they were like, you know, well, we can't even reinstate it. You're gonna have to repost it from scratch and blah blah blah. Like, it was a whole thing. So I did, and it was fine. So it's still up there. Haven't sold any yet, but it's still up there.
Yeah, sounds cool. I like it. I like it. Nice.
But yeah, so I've had issues with them as far as like weird copyright issues with them as well. Gotcha. That's why we were talking before about the bags and about selling the bags, and that's what I was worried about, because the bags are all characters.
Right. Oh, that's true.
That's the thing I was a little worried about, is is one of these platforms going to give me a hard time? But then again, I went on Etsy today, and I'm looking around, and I see, you know, Mickey Mouse this, Winnie the Pooh that, this, and they're obviously not officially licensed products by Disney.
Right. Yeah. True. I guess you just have to try and test the waters and see if it flies. But
yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna have to do, is just pick one and give it a shot and see what happens. Yeah. You know, I think it's probably similar to the whole con sketch thing. You know, if you're selling sketches at a con and I'm drawing, if someone asks you to draw Batman, DC is not going to come over and be like, "Hey, stop drawing Batman." You know.
Right. Yeah. I wonder how that works if you did a sketch of Batman and you put it on eBay, if they would not allow that or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I know, like, at cons, it's always been this sort of just, we're gonna look the other way. Like, we know what's going on, but we're gonna look the other way because, quite frankly, we don't pay the artists enough. So we're gonna look the other way and let them make some cash here at the convention.
Did you see that? Did you see that story that was in the news on Twitter maybe a few weeks ago? There was this old artist like in his 80s, and he had been known for doing DC Comics as a younger man, and he did those NFTs. He was selling his sketches digitally, and you can only buy them if you did it with the NFTs. And then he made like a couple million, is what I heard from the sales of these. And then I think DC got wind of it, and now they're probably going to kind of come down on not allowing people to use their characters in that type of fashion, which, I think they have the right to do that. I mean, if it was you or I, and our creation was as popular as Superman or Batman, and then somebody was to go and do that, I could see how it might, ruffle some feathers.
Right.
But I don't know. Hopefully he got something out of that before they.
Yeah, hopefully he got his money before the lawyers descended.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even understand all that NFT stuff. I mean, my wife is just starting to get into crypto, and she texted me and during our chat, she goes, "Oh, I just made another $5,000." I'm going, what?
Nice.
Are you pulling it out? And are we going to ride this roller coaster? But she just started to research it, and it's like, oh, you gotta buy this, and then after you buy this, you can be set to buy this. And I'm looking at these charts of how much the Doge is going up and all this stuff, and I'm going, I don't have the brain power after working my regular job to figure that out. But more power to you, honey. If you're sitting on the couch and you're making a few $1,000s,
nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah,
I can't complain. So. Anyways, I mean, I'm going, here I am going on streams like for the last 8 months, and you just made more money than I did. Like in a weekend. I'm going, I don't get it.
Yeah, listen, if she could explain it to me, that would be wonderful. Cause that, like, I've looked into it, and like I kind of get some of it, and I understand the NFT thing a little better than I do just regular old crypto, honestly. Like, because there's so many, like, you can only buy this with this app, and you can only go here to buy that, and I'm like, why can't I just buy it? Like, if I want to buy it, why can't I just buy it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's all these different hoops you have to jump through to get set up, and then you worry about, when I want to pull out, is the system going to crash on me because everybody else is pulling out? But she seems like she's got a good plan. It's like she'll try to buy low, and then when it hits a certain plateau, she'll pull some of it out and then kind of see where it goes, and then if it hits a certain plateau, then she'll pull some more out. So she's, from the initial investment that she made, I think like a week or two ago, she's pulled pretty much like 80% of the initial investment out, and we're still, in a good profit, just based on what's been building and multiplying. But I don't know, man. I just collect comic books. I was gonna say, do you guys do the grading? Do you guys ever send your books in for like the CGC grading?
No, I've never done. I am the guy who I buy an action figure, I open the package. I buy a comic book, and it comes polybagged. I open that bag and I read the comic. Like, that's
good for you.
That's always been me. That's just, I feel like these things are meant to be used, and if somewhere down the road I generally take care of my stuff. So, down the road, okay, how much less is it going to be worth if I opened the bag as opposed to, didn't open the bag? And honestly, truth be told, the investment is not why I bought it in the first place.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I totally hear you. I mean, I have a pretty good collection, and I did send some of the things off for grading because I'd have an eBay store, and I just thought, my wife kind of said, are you going to keep these things forever? We're running out of garage space, so you need to like pare down your collection. And I said, okay, I'll work with you on that. So I did send some off, and there's quite a demand on eBay for graded Bronze and Silver Age books, and I couldn't believe how much a lot of the books that I have are going for right now. But that's the ironic thing, is they slab them and you won't be able to ever open it again. So
right.
It's like you can't really enjoy it the way that you originally did. But
yeah, I mean, I also understand, like, I understand both sides of it. I just know for me, especially, I was in the comic store every week during the boom in the 90s. That, I was one of those guys who was there every week buying me and RC were talking about this before, buying just a stack like this, every week. And and I would be buying these books, but I wasn't buying them just, because like, oh, this is a number one of something that I never heard of that probably was only going to get 4 issues and then get canceled because no one's buying it. But I'm going to buy it because it's a number one, like, no, I just wanted, if it looked cool, I bought it.
Right.
And everything else that I bought was stuff that I was reading, I was regularly reading.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those people who I was reading all the X books. So at the time, there was about 647 different X books coming out every month. So, like, like I was buying every one of them.
Yeah. I remember having a store like in the 80s, and you could walk in a store back in that day, and if you had $20, you'd walk out with a lot. But now I just went to my local store. I dropped like $50, and I only had like a stack of like this many comics. I'm going, man, these things are like $5 to $8 now.
Yeah.
Not, my own crowdfunding book isn't cheap, but the print run on it was very, very low. So I had to kind of, you kind of have to justify the production costs and how much you paid people.
Yeah, it's a different thing. You're talking about that's why I part of me wishes, like, I love what Peter Simeti's doing with Alterna Comics.
Definitely.
From the time that I found them, about, I guess, like 2 years ago now at this point, maybe 2.5 years, something like that. I absolutely just fell in love with what he was doing. And, I heard about it and I saw some of the books. I'm like, oh, some of these look cool. Let me check them out. And I bought them, and they're, $1. At the time they were $1.50. I'm
They're
like,
great.
That's incredible. Like $1.50. And I'm coming out with like, oh, I want this entire series. Okay. It's like $6.
Right.
And I've got the whole series,
I wasn't familiar with Alterna until I saw Pete on some streams, and then I went to his site and they said, oh, you can get this grab bag of number one issues for like $25, and he sends me this huge stack, and that's how I found Mighty Mascots,
right?
And all these other books that I really liked, like Log, and everybody says Blood Realm was really good. That wasn't in the package, but that looks like kind of a book that I could get into.
It's cool. It's really cool. I love Blood Realm.
Peter is he's been really a big help to Parody Press getting off the ground, and I go on his open mic, but he's having an auction on this weekend to kind of pay for his vet bill, and so I signed up for that. So if people want to tune into Pete's channel, I think it's like noon to 4 Eastern, and then there's another evening slot, but I'm slotted for like the first noon to 4 slot, and I think Preston Azevedo is also going to be trying to sell some of his stuff to help his cat.
I think there's going to be quite a few people in there, selling stuff, because he did one. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago now? I don't remember. I don't remember now.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, and and like, again, there was people in there, just like Pete was, and this is one of the things I love about Pete. He's just so genuine.
He's very cool. Yeah.
And he was literally in tears because people were just like, here's $50 more in a super chat. Just take care of the cat. Like, it was crazy, like how people were, and he was like, guys, don't do this. Just buy something. He was like, just buy something. I want to sell you something. If you're giving me a super chat, make sure you contact me so I can send you something.
Yeah, he's super cool. He's one of the nicest guys in the business. So
he helped me when I first started my channel. Like I was a nobody with I mean, at this point I'm still a small channel. I've got 400 and change subscribers, but when I was first starting out, and I think I had like 20 subscribers, he came on my channel. We did a live stream. He live streamed with me for 4 hours that night.
Wow.
Like, and we were just BSing, just talking comics the whole time.
Awesome.
And it was great.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, and it definitely, it helped me a lot, you know, and the guy, a lot of the Alterna guys are just really cool guys too. Like I've had a lot of interactions with a bunch of them, and they're really, really nice guys and just cool. It's funny because when I first found out about Alterna was right around when I went to New York City Comic-Con a couple of years back, and I couldn't find, my comic book store didn't have Blood Realm #1. I couldn't find it anywhere. They didn't have it available online yet at the time. And I went to New York City Comic-Con, and I'm walking through, and it's just packed, you know, we're shoulder to shoulder and everybody's on top of everybody, and you know, we're trying to make our way through. And I happened to just walk by a table where Rob Geronimo is selling his first issue of Blood Realm. And it was so funny because I didn't know who he was from a hole in the wall. I had no idea. I just knew the book, and I'm like, oh, I've been looking for this, you know, like, and then all of a sudden here it is, you know, and
Nice.
you know, so I went up to the table and I grabbed one, and I don't know, there was somebody helping him out at the table, and she was like, well, do you want the creator to sign it for you? I was like, well, yeah, sure, why not?
Cool. Nice.
I wish I had known then, like, you know, how much I was going to end up loving it, because I would have like actually talked to him.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to grab that. I got the Indiegogo big package that Pete put on his campaign, the one that has all the different variant issues, and it comes in a slipcase. So I'm waiting to get that. So I'm really excited. I think he says it's getting close to fulfillment. He had like a bit of a little printing delay, but yeah, he's good. He's good peeps.
Yeah, no, I love what they do. I love the fact that their comics, I love the fact that he actually, you know, their comics are inexpensive. He prints on newsprint, and he even does all ages books.
Right.
You know, like he's doing things that the big two should be doing. And he's making them look stupid with the way he's running his business.
he is. Honestly. I mean, when I pick up an Alterna book, I love the price, and I love the feel, because it feels like the Marvel books that I grew up reading in the 70s and 80s that I would pick up on a spinner rack. I mean, even the design of his logo and stuff looks like the old Marvel books. And so, yeah, more power to him. You know, he made the decision not to go with Diamond, and I guess he's doing just as well, if not better, than when he was being distributed. Yeah. So that's I don't know what his business plan is, but it seems to be working. And you know, I think what he's doing for creators and fans that to make an affordable product is pretty amazing.
Well, I talk to people, and it's funny because every now and then I'll bring this up with people. You know, one of the things to me is I don't know where the new comic readers are going to come from. Because I mean, and we had this discussion earlier, you know, my daughter's 15. She doesn't read comics. She was never really into comics other than she read some of the YA stuff, but that didn't transition into I'm going to go buy comic books now. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, a lot of people love to tout the YA stuff is creating new readers, but is it? I don't know that it is. You know, I feel like they're reading Dogman or Captain Underpants. Then they're moving up to either, you know, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And then they're reading, you know, maybe they're also reading like the Raina Telgemeier books. And then they're graduating, like my daughter did, to just prose fiction. She's just reading novels.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of kids are. Either they're just, you know, a lot of them are probably either just dropping reading altogether, or they're reading books, you know, and I just wonder, like, they're not, no one's forming the habit. As we were kids, we formed the habit. I rode my bike to the candy store and I bought comics off the spinner rack. And I did that. That's how I got into reading comics. And then eventually that transitioned as I got older to me going to a comic book store and buying comics, to this point where I'm 46 years old and I'm still buying and reading comics. Like, people aren't forming that habit anymore. Like, the kids aren't. And that's what worries me about certain things, is where are these new readers going to come from? Where's the next generation of readers going to come from?
Very, very good question. I wonder that myself, because, you and I probably used to go to the 7-Eleven or the grocery store and there would be a spinner rack, and now they're not there anymore. I mean, I hear Walmart might be trying to sell some comics and stuff, but other than going into your LCS, which are probably dying, unfortunately, because of COVID and stuff, they're hard to come by.
And I also think, what reason would a kid, like, let's say you're let's say you're a 12-year-old kid, you're a 12-year-old boy, and you read Dogman, and you read Diary of a Wimpy Kid and that stuff, which is not really a comic, but I feel like they just kind of flow one into the other, because you buy these things at the Scholastic Book Fair, you get them from your school library. That's where these kids are getting their books from. And what reason do you even have to go into the comic book store? What's pulling you in there? What's going to make you ride your bike to the comic book store? Is there, like, what is it that's going to make you make that choice to do that? And I don't know what it is.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think there's a lack of all ages books that are well priced to kind of get the habit going. So the fact that Pete's doing all ages books, something like Mighty Mascots, to me is a really good kind of a book that both adults and kids can enjoy. Yes. That's why I like it. I've had people on my Coffee and Comic show that I really think do good books. Like, there's a campaign called The Flock, and it's for all ages. So I definitely want to support people that are doing things that you can give to your kids or grandkids and try to get them.
Well, I see it in crowdfunding. I see people trying to do all ages books in crowdfunding, or things that will appeal to younger readers. Stuff like Pillowman and Blanket Boy. That was a great book, and people are trying it. But I also notice those campaigns don't do as well as the big, bombastic action horror, whatever, that sort of stuff. They don't.
Right.
And I'm not sure if it's just the fact that, let's face it, parents will buy stuff for kids when the kid is bugging them for something or asks them for something. And kids aren't, listen, kids are not watching these live streams. Kids are not going on Indiegogo to look for comic books. So, it's more a thing of, with these books, it's a lot of, well, I'm going to buy it and then give it to my nephew, my niece, my daughter, my son, whatever, that's only going to drive so many sales. The real driver of sales of kids stuff is kids. Yes, they don't have the money to buy it, but they have the thing that other people don't have. They have the ability to bug the crap out of their parents until their parents buy it.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, that's the big question, is how to keep this art form that we've grown to love healthy. And I think you're right. Marvel and DC, what Pete's doing, they ought to be doing, and making things a lot more accessible, especially on the price point, because not many kids can drop $50 to go into a store, which is kind of what you need to do to just to spend these days. But I hear my dogs kind of barking upstairs, so I think they're probably, my wife might be being overrun by my dogs.
No, it's all good. We've been going for 2 hours, so we're good to go. We definitely did our thing here. So again, for anybody who's watching, anybody who watches the replay, anything else, the link for Beardzzerker is in the description below. You can go to beardzzerker.com if you don't want to click on the link for some strange reason. I mean, I make it easy for you people. What more do you want from me? So definitely check that out. Don's a good guy. He knows what he's doing, and he's certainly going to deliver. So that's not something you have to worry about for sure.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here, Don. I would love to hang out with you again sometime.
Oh, I had a great time with you guys. And if you get a chance, let me know what you thought of X-Farce. We still have X-Farce books. It's in demand on Indiegogo. You could just go to xfarce.com. But anyways, RC, it was nice to meet you, sir.
Nice meeting you.
The best. And Jam, I had a great time. This was a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, no, I did too. And where can people follow you, like on social media and stuff, if they want to follow you?
I have a YouTube channel. So if you go to Don Chin, you just Google, or not Google that, but if you search Don Chin in the YouTube engine, it should bring me up. I do a lot of streams, either like talking with other creators. I'll do book, what do you call it? Unboxing videos. I have a weekly show that I try to do every Wednesday morning at 9 Pacific and 12 noon Eastern. On Twitter, I'm at Real Don Chin, and we have a Parody Press Comics page, which is just parodypresscomics.com. So you should be able to reach me if you just search any one of those types of those links.
Yeah, he shouldn't be hard to find.
No, I put myself out there. I'm pretty easily to get a hold of.
All right. So thanks again, Don, for being here. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being here.
Thanks,
and don't forget, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, we do the best ever right here on this channel. I don't know what our topic's going to be next week. If you ever want to pop into one of those, if we're doing a topic that looks good to you, Don, absolutely hit me up and we'll have you in there. You can have a good time. We always talk about different stuff.
That would be fun.
Yeah, it's a fun show. It's definitely a good time.
I feel like I can relate to you guys, just kind of getting this initial chat out of the way. We have a lot of common interests.
Yeah, I think what we're gonna do next week is we're gonna be talking action figures and toys and that kind of stuff. So that should be a fun show. So that's Tuesdays at 7. You can follow me at jam_creates. Obviously, this is my channel here. All social media, I'm jam_creates. So that's Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. And then RC is, let me see if I can remember. It's RC Gates 1994.
Yes.
And then his TikTok is something else.
That's just an underscore between the RC and the Gates part.
Is that where you do the dances with your midriff exposed, RC? Or?
Oh, trust me, my midriff is not going to be shown on any sort of TikTok. Maybe whenever I lose the gut.
I just had to ask.
Oh, no, it's fine.
All right. So thanks everybody for being here. Everybody watching the replay, thank you. And we will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
All right. Good night.